Okay, we are live. And so, hello, everybody, and thank you for joining Keegan and I today. Keegan Lanier does many, many things. He and I go way back to December of 2016, actually.
God,
We
it's
met
crazy. It's
thanks
been
to
so long. The
Snapchat.
Snap fam.
The Snap fam, yeah, the great connections and friendships I've gotten out of that is so amazing. So Keegan, I've known him for many years, and I've watched him grow his side business of web design and web development, and I know how amazing he is. And you have a lot of great business experience. So thank you for coming on today, taking the time.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
And so for most of the people watching, I don't think they will know who you are. So can you quickly kind of just tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how you got here?
Sure. Yeah. So my name's Keegan Lanier. I have kind of two roles, two lives, I guess. My day job, I work as a multi-unit franchise coach for a restaurant group. And then for the past, really since not long before you and I met, I went back into website development as like full-time, started a business and tried to make it, some side hustle income. With website development. I started that, I guess, as for fun way back in like 97, and then just did it for a while, kind of got out of it and, went into bartending and going through college and all those things, and started a career with the same restaurant group that I'm with now in 2010. And worked my way up from a kitchen manager to service manager to assistant general manager, then multi-unit. Now I get to help franchisees build their business and help them with development plans and people projections and things like that, which has really been nice in the website development space. Getting a lot of really in-depth business knowledge has helped me grow that thing and be more efficient.
Yeah. So I know this isn't necessarily our agenda for today, but because franchises are run a little bit they really run very much like small businesses, right?
Yeah,
So I've seen a little bit of the stuff that Walk-Ons has been doing creatively in this time. Could you just because this is all small business owners that are going to be watching this, so could you
sure.
just quickly share a little bit about kind of some of the creative ways that Walk-Ons has been helping their franchisees and the franchisees themselves? How have they been staying afloat?
Sure. Yeah. So one thing that's really great about the brand that I work with, I mean, with the walk-ons, is that like we're super involved. And the nice thing about them is like so many people in the industry got laid off, and we were very, very fortunate to have our whole team intact. So as soon as this happened, franchisees and a lot of those people started to go into freak out mode. What do I do? How do I support my business? How do I keep paying the bills? And so, we were talking to those guys twice a day, every single day.
Wow.
So the partners that I have, we're constantly talking to one another. We started coming up with first off, we had to figure out how we were going to be 100% takeout. So we
Yeah.
worked through the operational pieces with that. We went into a full disinfectant, like super sanitation mode. How do we protect the food that we bought, minimize the expenses, and maximize the reach into the community. So, we created a take and bake program. We created family meals to where we can feed more people for a better value. And, we went straight to Uber Eats and Waiter and really solidified the partnerships we had with those third-party deliveries. And then we went and got deep in the financials with the franchisees. Let's find out, because some of them were just thinking numbers like, I need this much in sales a day to keep my business afloat. And that wasn't really the case. When we broke down the numbers, fixed costs and all those things, and got to the bottom line, it was a lot less than they thought. Where some of them were thinking it'd be better to shut down. At the end of the day, it was really better to stay open and minimize the losses and keep your people, working, number one, because this will come to an end. And when it does, you're going to need as much normalcy as possible. So we need to keep people working. So it's through a lot of programs and just constant communication and feedback back and forth.
That's awesome. And I think there's some principles there that any small business right now can take, which is don't just think about what's going on, or go down and actually look at your numbers, look at your business plan, look at your foundation of what's going on, and figure out how much money do you need? What else are you able to do? Like, okay, you no longer have dine-in, but you could do takeout. You could do take a bake. You could do, what are the other things you can use your current staff and resources to provide some sort of service or product right now, right? So that's really great. Like I said, I've been seeing a little bit of what you guys have been doing, and it looks like Walk-Ons has been handling this beautifully and really helping the franchisees too. So
yeah, we're trying. I mean, it's you learn every day. I mean, it's definitely uncharted waters for sure.
Yeah, for everybody, right?
Yeah.
So going back a little bit more to the website side of these now. So can you talk a little bit just about your website business? Like kind of what have you done? What kinds of people have you worked with? Just to give a little background there.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I do 100% WordPress websites. I did way back in, like I said, the late 90s. I started with custom code and HTML. I learned CSS kind of backwards. Like there's no formal training. It was in MySpace days. I figured out how to tweak those profiles and hopefully take some of them that were really ugly, if you remember those, and make them not so ugly.
Yep.
I did that for a long time. And along the way, I've linked up with marketing agencies in a lot of the projects I've done. So I've kind of been their white label solution. I work like a member of their team. A couple of really key ones that have helped me get a ton of projects. So I've worked with some musicians. I've done band websites. I've worked for business development, city development. I've done a Chamber of Commerce website. And then I've done just a lot of either personal branding, and recently launched Roberto Blake's new website. If you're familiar with Roberto,
yeah,
worked with him, and really just whoever wants a website, I'm willing to work with them. So
no, I know. Like I think another mutual friend of ours is Paul Thompson. I think he did his website as well, right?
Paul and I we did a landing page, and we've got big plans to blow it all out. It's just he's been, if you follow him a lot, he's been super occupied, getting engaged and all that stuff.
Yeah. Actually, Paul, I hired Paul as my coach. Paul's my coach. So yeah.
Amazing guy. I love that guy.
I know. I watched him, same thing, Snap Fam, right? I watched him for all those years and engaged, and he and I had many great conversations, and I finally was like, I got to do it. Do it. So.
And it's in his DNA, him being a teacher before he was with Buffer. It's exactly wheelhouse.
Right. So obviously you live and breathe websites, and you live and breathe a lot of, like those franchisees, small businesses. So talk a little bit about how and why small businesses or need websites. I know what you think websites are important, but you have an animal in the background or something?
Yeah. I think he's losing his mind back there. Like, my wife's got to go get him. She's like, "What are you doing?"
I see that. My cat's a big talker too, so I understand.
That's hilarious.
Anyway, obviously, I know you think websites are important for any business, but can you talk a little bit for small businesses, kind of how and why?
Yeah, it's websites are interesting because it's some people. It really depends on the industry, and a lot of people think of it as kind of like this big catch-all, and too many people don't have like a really strong idea of what they want their website to be. It's like, it's like a tool. They all have their own purpose, and some people try and make a website more than what it should be, but they're really important if you have clear definition of what you want them to be. Some of them are brochures, some of them are lead gen, some of them are a lot of different things, but they can really be a game changer for your business if they're done the right way and you have the right people building it in the right way. Too many people oftentimes people come to you and they're like, how much will the website be? It depends, it depends what kind of tool do you want it to be? And I guess that's one thing that makes it a little bit different in the fact that they don't all look the same. They don't all work the same. They don't all serve the same purpose, but they're all really important depending on what you're trying to accomplish.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's a lot of small business owners they just know they need a website or they should have a website, but that they don't really know more than that. So, so kind of along those lines, the people that you've talked to, potential clients, previous clients, have you seen a lot of small businesses that kind of either don't have a website or they have one that's very out of date, or they have one that definitely could use some help?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think we've all seen a lot of those. It's funny, having talked to so many people and done a lot of refreshes to websites. Like a lot of people are super hesitant about going down the path of updating their website because they don't know, like, what am I going to need? Do I need to redo all of my content? Do I need new pictures? Do I need to go professional with it? Should I have stock photos?
Yeah.
Sometimes maybe yes, sometimes not. But usually what they've done is had a really, really, really bad experience with the person who was doing their website before. Yeah. I wish I could, I can't even count how many times I've heard that. Me
too.
Some of those people out there just they'll take advantage of them. I've seen people that get sites that really aren't fully functional and they paid, I hate to say what I've heard some of them pay, over $10,000, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get something really, really solid, and it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be that expensive to upgrade, So
Yeah. I see it all the time. I even have customers who are like, I don't want to change it because I don't want to ruin my SEO or ruin. I'm like, no, changing it's probably going to help your SEO, first of all. And second of all, then I'll go and pull up one of the website analyzers and be like, your organic traffic last month was 0, so you're not losing anything.
So true.
But
so
it is unfortunately something that seems to be very, very common for small businesses to kind of throw something up there and then forget about it, right?
Yeah. And it's like any other tool, if it doesn't have a purpose, it's really not going to bring you any kind of return. If there's no plan and it doesn't live and breathe, people hear the SEO term a lot, and I think they get scared to make a move or to make any kind of changes. But perfect point. They have SEO in place, but you're not bringing any traffic.
Right. So so it's kind of talking about the purpose behind it, having a website. So what are your thoughts on, sometimes, maybe a business they don't have that much traffic coming in their website. They don't intend to have that much traffic coming, but I still always recommend they have at least a one-page type website, right? Kind of what are your thoughts on that there should be some sort of presence, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think any person that has a business needs to have a website, because you need to have something that you own that you can drive people to. And that could be a one-pager with a form that, helps you generate leads. It could be a full-blown multi-page website. You definitely need something, and you need a place that you own. I see people that'll buy a domain and redirect it to Facebook, which I don't do. I mean, maybe that works for you. And if you have a lot of engagement and you have a lot of content there, or you have a lot of connections there, but in the end, you don't own it. It's not yours. If Facebook decides to shut it down, you're kind of left there hoping you can still engage with those people.
Yep. Yeah. And that's for example, one thing that I tell a lot of my clients that use Medium or LinkedIn for blogging, things like that is, and I just tell people this in general actually, but make sure you have it on your website too. Because what happens if LinkedIn crashes tomorrow? What happens if Medium disappears tomorrow? Now you have no blog content, and hopefully a backups of it saved. I have all the documents saved of mine as well. But yeah, having that space that you own is always important. So, so what are some of the common things you see that small businesses don't think about when they're designing and building or refreshing a new website?
Yeah, I think a lot of times they don't know what to think. They're looking for somebody else to give them the suggestions. How should I build this? How should I structure it? What content do I need? And it's kind of like chicken or egg, which one's first? I can't give you, or most developers won't be able to give you a quote unless you know what they want, but they need you to tell them what they want in some cases. So it's, it takes a little bit of conversation. It takes a lot of back and forth to kind of get to the beginning stages. A lot of them, try and throw too many things at it. They'll have no clear idea, no real clear goal. And they'll just start off I've heard a lot of people say this, but they'll start off with I really love what Apple does. Everything's so crisp. It's so clean. It's so simple. I want that. And then it's, but can you add this? And can you add this? And maybe we can put this flashy thing here, this call to action there. Then they have conflicting calls to action that just draw people away, and you end up with this mess, so I think it's just not having a plan really from the beginning. Yeah.
And that's something, obviously somebody like yourself, if they hire you, that's something you can at least talk them through to help them if they don't have any idea, right? That's
Absolutely.
Something, but you're not going to be able to give them a price or a timeline or anything until they come up to agree on a plan with you, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's how much do you want to spend on a car? Well, what kind of car do you want?
Yeah, exactly. So that's just people try to say, oh, I can go get social media management for $99 a month with some online service. I'm like, oh yeah, good luck with that, right? Right. And then people say, well, how much should I pay somebody? I'm like, well, are you looking at one platform? Are you looking at 3 platforms? Are you looking at daily posting? Are you looking at whatever? Do you want community management? So exactly. The websites are the same thing, right? It's there are, I've seen on your website, you have some kind of standardized packages.
Sure.
But even then, that greatly depends on how much, how big of a website, how many pages, how, what do they want on the back end. So, so obviously, there's a lot of website builders out there, that people that are a little bit more technologically savvy and have some design, I at least can use. And for some small businesses, where they're bootstrapping in the beginning and they have zero budget for anything, right? That might be okay as a temporary fix. But when do you recommend, what point do you recommend somebody hiring an expert like yourself? Like what point is it critical that they do it, or like what order should it come in importance, budgeting, things like that?
For me, I think it's at the beginning, but that's maybe a selfish answer, but I really do believe that. And not that they necessarily need to go out and hire someone, but they need to have a sounding board. It could be in a Facebook group. They need to have somebody who knows what they're talking about as a connection, who will give them like real honest, like truth.
Right.
And really it's like, I don't hate on anything outside of WordPress, so whether it's, Wix or Squarespace, those things serve a purpose and they can do a lot for people. Like if I want this and this platform does that, and then my needs are never going to change, go do that. Use that, because it is pretty easy to do. Anybody can jump in and get a site up quick. But if you ever think things are going to grow, sometimes those platforms are limiting in what you can do. Right. So I think you should bring in somebody early on, at least to lay out the plan. They can give you the best course, at least from their experience, of what you should do. And then you can make the best decision, because a lot of people jump in thinking they're going down the path that's right for them and end up spending a lot of money and wasting a lot of time, that they could have saved the time, they could have saved the money. And in a way, it's double losing money, because time is, you could be focusing on something else and making more money.
And that's the thing where I think a lot of small business owners fall in that trap, is they think, well, I can use one of these builders and do it myself and save the money. But then they spend so much time learning how to use it and struggling through the things. And when they could have maybe gotten new clients, new contracts, new whatever with that time, and just hired an expert, right? That's why we have experts. That's why we hire experts, because the expert can get it done and save us the time, right?
Absolutely.
And I'm a big believer in WordPress too. I've worked on the very first website client for an agency back in like 2000 and I don't know, 5, 4, 3, something way back in the early 2000s. And I've been working with WordPress directly since probably 2008 or 9, and so I've worked, now obviously, like, I'm not the web developer, but I've worked with clients who did it, and I had to work directly with all the web developers and web designers. And so I've worked on probably over 100 WordPress sites. And what I love about WordPress, obviously, is not just that it's so customizable, all the themes, all the plugins, all everything, but it allows the developer and the designer to do what they do best, but then allows the end user, the business owner, to have the capability to go in and add to their own blog, to update pictures. Like, it has that user-friendly back end, right?
Exactly.
So that for people who aren't very technologically savvy, once the website is set up, they're able to go in and add fresh content, fresh images, things like that as they need to or want to, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's kind of what I was talking about just a second ago, is just the flexibility and the fact that you can continue to scale it. You can start off with just a basic blog, and it can grow to a full-on website. It can grow to an e-commerce. You can sell digital goods. You can sell physical goods. You can do whatever it is that you need to do. You can do courses through it. It's the possibilities are really endless. I mean, there's a reason WordPress has more than 30% of the internet. I mean, and that's why I always recommend, WordPress as the first choice if you're hiring somebody. But to most people, if they're building their own site, which I don't recommend if possible, but if they are, WordPress there's too steep of a learning curve for most people. Yeah, definitely. And there's the tough part with it occupying so much of the internet is that there's a bunch of material out there, and some of it is outdated, because it's like over the last handful of years, WordPress has changed so much. It's really growing up. Like, it feels like it's maturing. And if you find something that's a tutorial from 2 or 3 years ago, I mean, it's going to look a lot different than what you have now.
Yep. Yeah. So if you're trying to build your own website through WordPress and you're not an expert, you're probably going to end up running in a lot of circles and doing a lot of this, right?
Absolutely.
So if you could kind of share one key takeaway to business owners about websites from from this talk? Like, what would be one thing that you want to make sure they know or remember from you?
That's a good one. It goes back to maybe just make the plan and have a singular vision for it. Think of it like a tool in your toolbox. If you're in the restaurant industry and you're selling food, you focus on food quality. It has one, our operations, it's got one very specific outcome. The same thing with websites. Build a site with a purpose in mind, whether it's lead gen or information, but keep that focus as the reason for every decision you make when you're building that site and when you're adding on to it down the road.
I love that, because I think so many people get sucked into just talking about how does it look and how does it function and what's the SEO, but none of that matters if your purpose behind having the site isn't clear. So that's a great takeaway. And then, so kind of, if you could recommend one resource kind of to help small business owners learn more about websites, whether, not just how to build them, but just general, like the importance or how to come up with what you want your purpose to be, things like that. Any kind of book, any podcast, anybody you like?
Sure. There's a guy that I connected with a handful of years ago. His name's Josh Hall. His website is joshhall.co. He does a lot of different things. He's got a podcast, and he talks to different business owners. He's got tutorials and videos if you're trying to bootstrap it and do it yourself. He puts out a lot of great information. So Josh is really, really good. And he's also a small business owner. I mean, he's got a team of people around the world, really, that he's got now, and he's a great resource. He's just a dude. He's really informative. He's entertaining, and he knows what he's talking about.
That's great. Yeah, that name sounds really familiar. I'm sure I've seen it. So I read that on the website. I'm going to drop that link in the comments, so if anybody wants to click on it, they can follow him. And then Keegan, actually, being the website designer that he did put together a quick landing page specifically for anybody watching this video. So I'll drop that link in the comments. I can't recommend him enough if you all need website help in whether it be a refresh or maintenance. I mean, you do everything. You don't just do design development. You can even, if they already have a website up and running, right, you can help make sure the website stays up to date and secure. You offer hosting services, right?
Absolutely. I just finished a migration this morning.
Awesome. Yeah. So if you are watching this and you need any help with anything having to do with your website, just definitely click on that link in the comments and reach out to Keegan. I also recommend you check out some of his, I'll try and remember to drop the links to your social medias for your company, because you do some great informational posts and stuff like that. So
thank you. I try.
If people do want to connect with you, where's your favorite place to connect with potential customers or people wanting to learn more?
It's my website.
Yeah.
So go to KeeganLanierMedia.com, and then the landing page, like you said, will be linked up. There's also a link in there straight to the Facebook Messenger. That's where I like to try and funnel all the communication. So if anybody has questions or just wants to chat, feel free to reach out. Yeah,
Facebook Messenger. I know. I remember way back when you first started testing the little chat box and stuff like that, and that was awesome. But we have so many places that we can get messages now that it is overwhelming. So it's nice to know if you're funneling everybody through that one, Facebook Messenger, you can know that that's where any client communications might be happening. So
I've simplified the bot process these days.
Yeah,
I pretty much turned them off.
Facebook kind of like cracked down on getting rid of a lot of the bot stuff too, didn't they?
Yeah. The nice thing now, like I pretty much just have it, to where there's a menu at the bottom. It'll link to services and things that are really useful for anybody who goes to the messenger or to our business messenger. Outside of that, it just goes to me. It's real human interaction.
Well, I think the bots are great to get people in the right direction and to start. But of course, eventually you want to talk to a real person. So.
Always.
So any last thoughts or anything you wanted to share before we end this?
Yeah, I guess in this time I've had a lot of conversations with, like, going back to the beginning of our conversation, our franchisees and people who are just kind of scared right now. What's this going to look like? How are we going to be impacted? And I know a lot of people really are by the whole coronavirus thing. I really believe that at the end of this, everybody's going to come out stronger. I think people are, the businesses are going to be in a better place if you take the time right now to really double down, get very lean in your business, figure out what's really important and what's extra, eliminate the extra, and then, reach out and connect to people that can help you drive your business forward when this is all said and done, or even today.
Yep. Yeah, I love that. And that's what I've been really trying to put that message out there a lot too, is now is, the time that if your business is way down or shut down temporarily, be building on your foundation, be building connections in your community with your, on social media. Like, just take this time so that when it is over, we can come back stronger. And I mean, Americans are resilient as as can be. So we're going to come out of this. But now is not the time to just. Obviously, some people are having some really issues, and whatever. But if you're able to, now is not the time to just hunker down and hide and do nothing, right? If your business is your lifeblood, then now is the time to really see what you can do to come out stronger in the end.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Keegan, for taking the time to talk to us. This was awesome. I know people will find value, and I hope some people will find you now that needed help with their websites. I already know I have one. Brett, I'm sending you. This is who I told him. My friend Keegan. I have to have you talk to him. So
that's awesome.
Hopefully we'll get some people that needed help will find you now. And we'll have a great day, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Krista.